Welcome to Getting Real Estate
with Josh Lenhart, Director's Mortgage,
and Casey Sport, John Scott.
Welcome back, everybody. It's been a real hot minute.
a very hot minute. Several months at this point? We got busy with the holidays.
Josh, we haven't recorded since like last year. I think maybe the beginning of the year. So we just got really busy in 2025. And now we're back.
We're back, and we're here with a special guest today.
We have Ashely. She is the owner of Sip Happens, which is a fabulous little coffee shop here in Eugene. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
You have your cute little pink drink with a bow. What are you drinking today? I have to know.
I'm a sugar-free girly, so I did a sugar-free Red Bull with sugar-free strawberry almonds, so it's kind of like a starburst, and I insisted that my girl put a bow on it so I could show it off to you guys. So
Your drinks are the cutest.
Thank you.
I do make my coffee at home a lot, but I'm like, I have to go to Sip Happens.
So to start, because I actually have never been there before, so starting off with the podcast, first, like, how many and where or what are the locations for Sip Happens?
So I started about 2 years ago as a mobile unit. That definitely was way too big to actually be a mobile unit, so we sold that, and then we downsized. So I was doing a mobile unit for a while, and then this last June, so it hasn't even been a year yet, I was able to purchase the coffee shop that I actually got laid off from. So full circle moment.
I can't, I'm not going to have you name that coffee shop, but I do remember that used to be a coffee shop. I don't think I ever went to that one. So I go to yours now.
It's actually crazy because I started working in coffee when I was 15. So I've been in coffee for like 13 years. And I started working at Nina's, which had multiple chains. And
Shout out Junction City.
yes, I used to ride my bike from either before school or after school or both to the Highway 99 Nina's and work there. But the coffee shop that I now own at one point was a Liberty Espresso, and Liberty Espresso girls used to work at Nina's. So it's like a weird full circle moment with that as well.
Wild. Okay, I have to know, you said your mobile shop was too, what were you driving?
It was like a large concrete box that definitely should have been stationary, but we insisted on moving it around constantly.
You know, have goals.
Exactly.
That's
now.
like, I'm going to drive this concrete box around so you know my name.
I made my husband do that.
Well, where are you guys located now with your...
The drive-through is West 7th and Taylor in Eugene. And then I also just opened up a mobile box truck. So think like a FedEx truck, but fully pink and full of coffee.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yes.
So you said you've been in coffee for like 13 to 15 years now at this point. So what evolved into you deciding you wanted to then own your own coffee establishment? And from there, what are some of the things like that you wanted and the things you make sure you didn't want in your in your own establishment?
Well, I knew moving in that, I've had a lot of not great bosses. Like when I first got hired, I was 15 and didn't know really anything about the work world. And I actually did not get paid for my training for 2 weeks. And it wasn't until another employee reported that owner that I found out that that was illegal and I should have been getting paid for training. And I've also worked at large corporations, and I've learned a lot from large corporations, but I've also experienced a lot of bad bosses. So I figured I've worked at so many different coffee places. I know what I'm doing. I had some time in the military, so I had that leadership kind of instilled in me. So I decided to start my own business, and that's where I'm at now.
That's amazing. I also worked in the corporate world a lot. I worked for a lot of doctor's offices, and then I never had a job in food or retail. I've only ever had office jobs since I was honestly 17, because my first job was at my stepdad's business. So I never had like food or retail experience. But the corporate world is ew. It's terrible. Like, honestly, it's the worst. And yeah, man, it's once you start working for yourself, I think you then become like very unemployable.
100%.
Oh my gosh, yeah, of all like the now when you start working on your own, it's like I realized very quickly about myself, like I could and would never go back to a place where like I had to like clock out for a lunch break or like tell somebody like working for your own self. But that's a huge leap also. I remember, again, like I worked at a financial institution where it's very 9 to 5. And having those types of jobs, there's a certain safety net of structure. So how was it? Because going, I mean, and to please talk more about like your military background, but also like, because that I'm sure instills a certain version of confidence in you moving forward. But there's a big being an employee to an employer and being employed by someone to then being the one who like you're responsible, the business, the profits and losses and all that kind of stuff. How was that adjustment for you? Was it simple? Like this makes all the sense in the world? Was there trepidation there? And what were like your first big steps towards like working for someone to like launching your own business?
To be honest, I'm terrible with numbers. My grandpa owned a CPA, so I thought maybe I would have some of that instilled in me, and I do not. So the biggest thing I
Girl,
learned,
same.
yeah,
Girl, same. People are like, "Oh my god, Casey, what can't you do?" I'm like, math.
Yeah.
Math. I helped my son with some math homework, and it got sent back, and it was like redo, and the only two he had to redo were the ones I helped him with.
No.
ChatGPT, please help.
Literally.
Yeah.
I honestly used to be really good at math as a child. I don't know if I just like hit my head too many times with like undiagnosed concussions or what, but it just kind of went downhill as I got older. But I think the biggest thing I learned is to delegate, and like you can't do everything on your own. And whether that's when I first started out, I was working every day at the coffee stand because even though I hired 2 people, I had to train them. So I had to be there every day. But I think having a good support system is really important. Like my husband also owns his own business. So I think having 2 dreamers can either be amazing in most ways, but can also be kind of scary because when it comes to finances, you're right, you don't necessarily have that safety net. But
Yeah.
you know, that's how everyone starts out. You have to take that risk to get the reward. So
Yeah. What business does your husband own?
he owns a fencing business, so he builds fences.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
so we
great
love
for me to
storms
know.
out here.
Yeah, but that's also great for me to know. I'll get his card.
Perfect.
So when you're running a coffee shop, I assume there's, I mean, obviously a substantial amount of business decisions that you're making. And my curiosity is because coffee is like, it is very personal. It is like, it is my favorite thing. It is like the best thing, but everybody has their very specific preferences. But being a business owner, I'm sure with coffee, like my wife and I prefer places that served powdered white mocha versus, but you have places like Starbucks that are serving like, you know, the pump white mocha or whatever. I'm sure there's like business statistics also that like more customers prefer whatever. When you're going into your business model of running it, is it like you're looking into like what are the most popular X flavors of cream sodas? Or are you just like, I like this and that's what we're going to have because it's my business and I want to run it that way?
Honestly, kind of both. With how long I've worked in coffee, I've experienced a lot of different things. I know that powdered white chocolate is just superior above all else. So I've learned that because I've also worked at corporations like Dutch Bros, and I did learn a lot from Dutch Bros, but it's a big corporation. We want to support small. But I've learned what I don't like and what I do like, and that's kind of how I've based my business. Obviously, you have to look at numbers as well. So fortunately, we can't go all natural everything because cost of goods is just crazy when it comes to that, but we find ways to make everything delicious, like with our specialty drinks. So,
Which they do, in fact, have the best specialty drink menu. It's so good. I got to try your first holiday drink. Do you remember that? I was the girl that drove through right after.
Is that when
Halloween.
I offered it to you before?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I do remember that.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it was the best drink, and then that's what got me hooked because my best friend had seen your coffee shop on TikTok, I think, when you had like the Beetlejuice inspired drink. It was very cool looking, and she was like, "I need to go get that," but she also hates sweet coffee, and so she was like, "I don't think I can get it though," and then but. I do love that about your drinks is they're so like frilly. I only drink coffee for the vibe. Like I should not have caffeine. It makes me want to like rip my skin off. I got a coffee one day and then I went to my office. I'm not even joking you. I literally I told my friend Andrew, I was like, I have to go outside. I was like, anyways.
I wish coffee still made me feel
me,
something.
But I get decaf. It makes me feel like I want to rip my skin off. But I'm only drinking it for the vibes, and you have such good vibes.
Well, it's hard to stand out in a saturated market like coffee, so you have to find ways, and not a lot of places do specialty coffee the way that we do. So,
Well, and being hopped up on caffeine, it's like having like an 8-year-old. You're like, go run around the cul-de-sac for a little while, just get your energy out, and then come back in the house. um, so for like going in and making these decisions for your business, how many employees do you have now at this point? How many people work for your coffee stand?
Right now, I have 3 girls, and one of the girls has been with me almost since the beginning. So shout out Lexi. But one thing, because my stepmom owned a coffee stand as well, and I really looked up to her. She got me into the coffee world very young. Was her turnover rate was so low, and I feel like that spoke. It wasn't because she paid them an immense amount of money. You can't really in a business like that, but it was because of how she treated her employees. So I make sure if I'm able to give feedback, I'm also able to accept feedback, and just always come into it with a humble mindset. And know that you're always learning regardless if you're the leader or not, and servant leadership is also really important. So if you're expecting that person to do it, you should have either done it or show them how to do it or keep doing it with them. So
People don't realize how important work culture. You hear about things like Costco versus Walmart, and like they have like a 14% turnover rate versus like a 65% turnover rate at Walmart because they treat their employees well and they pay them well and they they approve time off and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, in hearing that about like anything you want to obviously always support local, but having people where the employees like working there, the boss is taking care of them. I wanted to ask, you had mentioned, because Casey said a TikTok where you had a Beetlejuice inspired, which is amazing. What is the balance for marketing in today for you for like a coffee shop? Because like you said, not only is it wildly oversaturated, but I don't even know like the first place you go to really get noticed and seen. What are the marketing strategies for you to grow as a business nowadays between social media or other forms that help get your business seen?
I think you have to find your niche. And like for me, it's like kind of like awkward content that ends up being funny. Like that's kind of just my thing. And you have to find your thing that people are drawn to when it comes to yourself. And even in like my outside life, I feel like that's kind of my charm, is just being like incredibly awkward to where it's like funny. So that's kind of how I stand out. And I do have a content creator as well. Her name's Kaylee. And she does a great job of kind of researching what's going on in like the social media realm and what's going to hit and what might not. So super helpful again to delegate.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so my husband's in the military, and obviously like being in the military, you are not an individual, right? Like that's part of your training. And in basic, like at basic training, they go to essentially like break you down to take away your individuality so they can build you as like a whole unit. And so a lot of the things that you're saying, do you feel like a lot of your mindset came from military training, or do you feel like it was like examples that you had growing up, or just like that whole like, it's not just about me, it's about making sure that my crew is happy, whatever. And that feels like a very like brotherhood, sister, I'm saying brotherhood because military, like that, it feels like that kind of vibe.
Yeah. I would say a little bit of both. I think the military gave me more of a backbone to stand up for myself and my people. My dad he was a Lane County Sheriff for over 20 years. He still is a cop because he just can't stop, won't stop. But he instilled a very good work ethic for me very young. And he was always taking care of his people. And my stepmom kind of just instilled the character of just like caring more about your people and like genuine relationships. Like she will take the shirt off her back 100 times over for anyone else. And I strive to be like that. I'm not nearly as kind as her, I feel. And maybe part of that is from the military, because especially in the Marine Corps, which was my branch, it's the 1%. And if you think about the females in the Marine Corps, it's the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah.
And yes, and if you want to be in any sort of leadership role, you kind of have to be mean, honestly.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've taken that even into like workplace, not necessarily being mean, but I have no problem with conflict, and I don't really back down, especially when it comes to my people. I'm a lot quicker to react when I'm protecting my people as opposed to myself. So I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah. So you own a coffee shop, you were in coffee, you worked, what other jobs did you have, like getting you to owning coffee shop? You don't have to like expose companies of like who was shitty and who wasn't, but like, just like, I'm just so interested. Like I worked in banking and doctor's offices, and now I do real estate. Like I'm just always so curious about people and like, what was your path to get here?
I've been almost completely coffee besides my time in the military. I've tried other things in the past. I actually tried real estate for a hot minute. Like, I think it was like 2020, so it was good for nobody, but wasn't for me. I think it was a trial and error thing, and I always knew that I wanted to either own my own business, or when I did work at Dutch Bros, I wanted to franchise. When you have a blended family, that makes it a little bit difficult because you can't move out of state. You know, we have people that we have to keep in mind. So I knew I wanted to be in coffee. I knew I wanted to own my own coffee shop. And so that's why I started the mobile unit. And the coffee shop kind of weirdly fell into my lap. And now I'm hoping to expand and have multiple stores. And obviously I have my mobile unit going, and eventually manifesting being able to serve either in or near the U of O for football games would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Are you gonna do you think that you'll rent your truck out for like events and stuff like that, like to show up at events? Okay.
I did the Prefontaine Classic last year with my little cart, and they've reached out about doing it again this year. So the more I can get recognized, obviously the better it is for me.
Do you have goals for, I think everybody's plateau or where they want to be is different. And like I just, knowing mortgages as an example, we have teams that have whole offices. There's like 30 people that are all running like a huge branch, and it's like this enormous, and myself, it's like me and my loan partner, and I prefer that size. It's like you have this idea of expansion or this idea of intimacy. Do you have goals or ideas? It's like, I just wanted to start the shop and I wanted to make the best darn shop I can. Do you have goals of expansion, of having a handful? Would you like, sweeping the nation? Like what's the kind of ultimate long term? If you could dream up anything you wanted, what would that look like?
I feel like I live by complacency kills. And so for me, I want to expand. It's not necessarily about being the biggest, but it's about being the best. But I do want to have multiple chains so we can kind of just spread our message. And I feel like a lot of it's like obviously men too, but like women empowerment. I feel like this is one of the chains where it is a lot of men, like even Dutch Bros, like it was founded by two men. Like it's a very male dominated area when it comes to owning the shops. So I just kind of want to break through that. And same thing, I mean, a lot of people didn't think I'd be able to go into the Marine Corps. My background was cheerleading before that. That's it. And so my biggest motivation is obviously people's doubt in me. And so, yeah, we'll see.
People
where that
underestimate cheerleaders anyway.
100%.
And that whole debate, is cheer a sport? You try and go freaking cheer. Okay?
Yeah, you're
it's a sport.
You're literally in parade rest most of the time when you're cheering if you're not actually doing something, and you're in parade rest in the military as well. You actually learn so much discipline through cheer that helps you in the military.
Yeah.
So.
I was a cheerleader also.
So was I. I actually, I was like a 3-sport athlete growing up. And then my senior year, I wanted to do gymnastics. I just like, somebody's like, you're tall, you're a slimmer build, like give it a shot. But our school didn't offer it. But they did offer a competitive cheer squad that like went and competed. So it was like, this is the closest you're going to get. I had more time in the trainer's room and more injuries from things that I was doing. And it wasn't like it was like I tore my abdomen and had internal bleeding from, because I had to practice. I had like 4 or 5 standing back tucks that I had to do for a competition. So practicing doing like 20 or 30 a day, I eventually ended up getting like, I had a tear in my stomach because I like from pulling that muscle so much and so hard. So yeah, I mean, people dropping, falling, shoulder injuries, all that. So yes, absolute 100% respect for that. I think it preps you a lot better than people realize.
Agreed.
But so growth is the goal, and starting in thinking about like games. Are you wanting to stay like Eugene local, branch out to Oregon?
Expand. I would love to even be. I've heard people say there's not a lot going on in Bend as far as small coffee shops go. I love Bend. I'm honestly open to like any avenue, and I I don't want to say I'm unrealistic, but I don't have like a set. Like, this is where I want to go. Like, it just keeps going forward and up.
Well, that's the beauty of working for yourself, right? Is there's no ceiling. There's nobody we can only put the ceilings on ourselves. And I fully support you going to Bend. I'm from that area, but I've been over here for like over 20 something years. We don't need to talk about how many, but Bend needs they need more coffee shops, less pretentious coffee shops. Like, I remember my husband bleeds coffee. Like, the man he could drink a cup of coffee probably at 9 p.m. and lay down and close his eyes and go to sleep. Like he bleeds coffee. And we went, a couple years ago, we went to Bend and went into a coffee shop, and he came out. He was like, they don't have real drinks. Like, he's totally fine. He's just like, first of all, they were just so pretentious vibe, like unkind, hoity-toity. And he's like, your menu sucks. And he's the guy that's like, give me some black coffee, give me cold brew, like maybe put a little cream in my espresso, but otherwise. And he was like, no, we're going somewhere else. So you should go to Bend.
Yeah, I feel like it's all about experience too. And I learned that. I guess I kind of blanked. I was in the wedding and event planning industry for 4 years. And so I feel like giving that experience as well, like you just want everyone to feel like they paid the highest package that they can get just based off of experience. So,
and experience in a coffee shop is 100% make or break. And again, not to like, I mean, whether it's chains or otherwise, I know one of my absolute best friends in the world I met through Dutch Brothers. And it was like 10 years ago now. And I felt at the time, the training at the stand and the people that worked there, it was very much about like, ask them what's going on, dive into their lives. It was very, and I went there every day for probably 3 or 4 years. Like it's right down the street from my house, but there's tons of coffee shops down on River Road that I could have gone to.
yeah.
And most of it was because it was that cheers, like where everybody knows. It was like, that's the feeling. But that training shifted.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in a lot of, and COVID, I think, did a number on most places. So hearing you talk about like really bringing that culture back, I can tell you it was like, even though Dutch Brothers, for all intents and purposes, like their coffee is not my favorite.
Yeah.
And so like the coffee itself, like the flavor of that is hyper important. Starbucks being a chain, it's like, but it's consistent, right? That's like why McDonald's is popular. But like why you go to a local coffee shop is like usually because it tastes better. But a lot of times it is like the very feeling that they make you feel like you're special. You're a part of our community that we're trying to build. And that's why I went to Dutch Brothers. But I can tell you, even the employee that worked there now is like, I don't really go there anymore because the music's super loud and no one's personal and no one remembers that I've gone there. And it's like, it's not good.
No, it's not the same anymore. When I started at Dutch Bros, it was like that. It was all about culture. It was all about building genuine relationships. And I actually learned that from Dutch Bros. But it's definitely changed into like a very corporate mindset, which is unfortunate because they expanded because of their culture. Like that is why they're big now. If they would have started out the way that they're unfortunately are now, and I have a lot of people that I love and have like they're high up in Dutch Bros. All respect to them, but I think that they need to get back to culture, and I think they,
Yeah. I think that's just like across the board, right?
Yeah.
Like I think we could say that about a lot of things. Do you make your own roast your own beans?
No, so we actually leased through Cascade Estate Coffee, and that's what when my stepmom owned her coffee stand, she went through Cascade Estate, and through the different coffee shops I've worked at, that has consistently been my favorite bean.
Yeah.
And so we legally actually have to go through Cascade Estate, and that's what we go through, and I really enjoy it. They actually make their own powdered chocolates as well. Honestly, tested better than Ghirardelli chocolate did. So
I think there is a coffee shop in Staten that uses that
Cascade Estate.
chocolate.
Good.
I think so. And it's the best. There's a hot chocolate that I always got there. They make their hot chocolate half dark, half white. And then I would get hazelnut. And so, if you want some drink ideas,
that sounds amazing.
it's so good. Anyways, and it was so good. And they're like, oh, we order this. This isn't like Ghirardelli. Like we order it somewhere else. Yeah. Anyway, in regard to shops, do you want to stay like mobile and like drive through, or would you like actual like sit down coffee shop? Because I feel like the vibe for Sip Happens would be so freaking
Yes, I have manifested a sit down coffee shop where like almost the walls are different mood boards because people like taking photos. Yes, and I think people would love that. It's just a matter of most of the time leases are a lot more expensive at sit down ones. So when we financially can. Definitely, and I want to be able to do coffee flights because we don't have that. No one steal that idea from me. But so that's the goal eventually is to have a walk-in. I'd love to have multiple mobile units and have other people run those so I don't have to turn down really any events. Yeah. And so just.
Well, when you're ready to find a shop, you call me and I will help you with your commercial real estate.
100%.
So where can people, like you mentioned, visibility and like being kind of unique with your socials, where can people find, other than as you shared your address, like where can they find you on social media or otherwise? Like where are you promoting yourself and what can they look for to find it?
We have a website. We have a TikTok. We have an Instagram. We have a Facebook. I've never had a LinkedIn, so I don't really know how that works.
I have a LinkedIn, and it's weird, and I don't know how to use it, so don't ever find me on LinkedIn.
No, I don't understand that.
I don't get it.
Yeah, all the mains you can find us on.
And what's your at? Yeah, we're just gonna like hang out.
I don't know.
I follow you.
We're different everywhere. Okay, I can say on Facebook, it's literally just Sip Happens. And you can't miss our logo because she's iconic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then our Instagram is sip.happens.llc.
We'll find the TikTok. Oh, I like the background music.
And then our TikTok is sip.happens08.
Perfect. We love that. And then there was another question I was just thinking. Oh, how did you come up with your name?
I Googled it. I said, I want to look up punny coffee names. And I looked up a bunch and I kind of like got my friends' feedback as well. And that's just the one that kind of felt most on brand for me and what I wanted to do. Same with like the disco cowgirl theme. Like I feel like that's, people know us for our brand.
Yeah.
And I think representing your brand in everything, even our specialty drinks, is super important. And that's what's going to make you stand out, is just being confident and invested in your brand.
So Casey mentioned, and you've said a few times, specialty drinks. What are a couple of examples of that for the listeners?
Yeah, so we switch every 2 months what our specialty drinks are. So obviously we have like Christmas ones. Claws Off My Cheesecake was one.
That's what I lived off of.
Yeah.
Holidays.
The Claws Off My Cheesecake was a cheesecake cookie butter latte with, we did a caramel drizzle around the cup, whipped cream.
Biscoff cookie.
Biscoff cookie crumbles and a Biscoff cookie topper. And
so good.
Yeah, so we try to, and obviously we had some Valentine's Day ones as well. We had one that was called Emotional Support Beverage, and that was a red velvet shortbread latte with cheesecake cold foam and graham cracker sprinkles.
That's also the thing that I drank so much through like February. And you guys do coffee ice cubes, which is genius. So what I've started to do is I get my espresso decaf, but then I get the coffee ice cubes.
I remember this. No, people are obsessed with the coffee cubes, which is great. And those aren't going anywhere. I'm surprised that more coffee shops don't do that, honestly.
You just brew and then put them in freezer like in ice cube trays the night before, and you just have a whole stack of them for that. Yeah, that's the greatest thing that I've ever heard in my life.
People love them. Can't blend with them.
A non-diluted coffee? You can't what?
You can't blend with them. Those things are thick. That'll break a blender. Yeah.
But just like non-diluted coffee for somebody like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
How have I never been here before?
I know,
Sip
that's a
Happens.
real
So
question.
once again, remind me, location, where it's at currently?
It's 1380 West 7th Avenue.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so good. I got 2 of my friends gift cards because I was like, you have to just go to this coffee shop.
Yes, even
They're
our
like,
gift cards are cute.
They are so cute. They're pink with the girl with the towel on her head.
And it says it's something about because therapy is too expensive. Yes.
Or
So we like to have fun
sometimes you're just
taglines.
cute. See, I don't need to go to therapy. I go to therapy a couple times a week.
That's what baristas are. Baristas are therapy, and you don't even have to pay us for it.
Yeah, it's good. It's perfect. It's totally fine. That's like a thing. You know, I have so many friends that want me to go to therapy. So I'm just gonna be like, I went to therapy today. My therapist's name is Ashely.
Yes, exactly. I feel like all entrepreneurs probably need to be in therapy for one reason or another. I was listening to a podcast today, and they were like, I'm not saying that it's something that has to be done, but I feel like most people that are entrepreneurs also didn't have like the greatest life growing up.
Yeah,
So
like,
it's just how it happens.
If you're an entrepreneur, you're probably mentally unwell.
Yeah.
And I say, like, for real estate, like, honestly, I think if I would have had like a really cush life, my life prepared me for this job, and I say that all the time.
Yes, traumatized and thriving, I feel like is
A
the
million
mindset to
percent.
have.
See, traumatized and thriving.
If you heal, you might not be as productive. So I get it.
I'm fully healed. This is not a trauma podcast, okay? This is a business podcast with a coffee shop guest, okay?
Which is why it led to therapy.
Which is Precisely.
How did you decide on what your general vibe was going to be? Is it very much just like this is kind of who I am as expression as a person through like what I'd like to run a business as, or do you have other inspirations of like how you developed your logo, what color scheme you decided to go with? Like, where did all of that inspiration come from?
I feel like it started with the menu, honestly. And once I like picked the vibe of the menu, my brain kind of just went multiple different areas. And I love like lavender, I like pink, and I like, disco balls and cowgirl boots. So it all just kind of ended up working out.
Yeah, was just like an expression of yourself. I think that's what I was going to ask you is your new menu is set to come out, right? Because
for the new specials?
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be March and April. We're going to have like I was thinking because like Girl Scout cookies are about to like be on and poppin'. Some like Girl Scout cookie based drink specials would be really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then something for St. Patty's Day. I got to represent my Irish people. And then probably something for Easter. I don't know, like a little.
I feel like you should totally do like a malted something Cadbury like for Easter. I feel like that would be so good. But what are your icks? Like as your coffee icks as a coffee shop owner, like what are the things that you hate in customer service? I never worked customer service, but what are your icks?
You learn a lot of things being in customer service as long as I have. I would say one thing that's recently annoyed me is when people ask, oh, are you the owner? And then they say, are you also the veteran? And when I say, yeah, they're like, really? Maybe don't clarify if someone is. I mean, if they already state it, unless someone's trying to pull some stolen valor, it comes off offensive, especially as a woman. Like maybe don't second guess if we were in the military or not.
That gives me the biggest, as a military wife, that gives me the biggest ick. Like, obviously, like my husband's in the military and I have a military ID, right? And I use my military ID for shopping all the time. And they'll be like, oh, thank you for your service. And I literally say, oh, I'm not the veteran. It's my husband. Because listen, I'm a military spouse. I too had to go through deployment and all the things. And but I also I'm not going to take credit that I don't deserve.
Exactly.
That makes me mad.
Yes. And as far as just like in general, don't point your finger at people. I feel like these are things that I feel like older generations have taught us, but for whatever reason, they're the ones that do it.
Why are they pointing their finger at you?
I don't know. It's
Why
like
is that
in
necessary?
conversation, their finger just like does not leave like this position. And obviously you guys can't see it because this is a podcast, but I'm pointing and it makes you really angry. Don't throw your money at people. This is not the club. And because yes, that has happened.
Making it rain.
Exactly. Or you know what drives me crazy, and I get it because people have places to be, but when I'm just about to like send off the person at the window and the person behind them drives away, because I'm like, they're literally about to leave, and I'm not faulting that person, but like ego wise, like it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
But I could go on and on. That could be a whole other segment.
That's a whole segment.
Yeah.
I'm just really curious. I'm just like the point. Why are we pointing fingers in general?
I don't know.
I mean, I
think
guess
some
you
people
said it
just lack
is like
social cues.
older, like our parents pointed our fingers. I don't think I've ever pointed my finger at my son.
No, unless it's like
ever
my
one
dog
time.
and it's like, like, hey, what's up? But it's not like, hey, this is what's happening. And you're just like pointing your finger. It just makes me angry.
Yeah.
But never be afraid to correct someone's mistake. We're human beings, so sometimes we might mess up your drink. And I would much rather someone tell me like, hey, can you remake this than leave a bad review, honestly. Like I would love to have a conversation with people directly because I don't think I'm perfect and I think all of us do make mistakes. So please tell your barista if your coffee is not up to tier because I want to make sure you have like a good experience every time you come through.
I think I'd rather die than ever tell you my coffee wasn't
Don't do
good.
That. Don't do that.
Oh my God, I had this conversation with my sister and my dad because when you order from the same place long enough, it's like before they even hand you the drink, you know if they done messed up or not. And that is something that is obviously is like a customer in the customer service. It's like you're always trying to find the best way to approach. And the challenging part is when you, again, because it's a lot of that goes down to the training and the people that you're with, because you go in situations in certain chains where like if I order a white mocha, and it's like, it's supposed to have like that slightly darker, like the shot was clearly mixed in flavor. Sometimes you're handing me what looks like a drink of like whole milk.
Yeah.
And I can like the second they start putting it up on the counter, I'm like, nope, that's wrong. You either used half a shot, a weak shot, or you just forgot the shot.
Yeah.
And I know that well enough, but they think because they're in the coffee shop, they know better. So I've gotten pushback before, just even being like, oh, it doesn't look right. And they're like, oh, well, I did. They like very much like, I put that shot in there. And I'm like, and that's another big thing too. Like I worked at Starbucks 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But a big thing, part of my training, which I know doesn't exist anymore, is like, you always pull fresh shots.
Yeah.
You don't pull a shot and then let it sit. And again, I know there are a lot of other coffee shops. They just like pull the shot and it sits there. And like I drive up and I see it. They have like a 3-4 minute conversation. And I see them make my drink and then dump the shot in.
Burnt.
And I'm like, this is so wildly unacceptable. But going back to, it's like, how do you approach from like when they're going to hand it, I'm like, that I already can tell you is not made correctly, or something is missing, something is off. And when you get pushback on that, is so, I think that's probably what makes it like Casey. It's like the fear of somebody being like, oh no, it's right. And then what do you say at that point? Then it's like you have to try it, you drink it, and then you're like, nope, this is gross, remake it for me like I asked you the first time.
I would say the best way to approach that, honestly, I've never had that experience where like I try to correct the person after that I can think of, but I would say maybe like fake take a drink and be like, oh, this like tastes different, even if you're not actually doing it, even though like you see it and you're like, that ain't right, pretend to take a sip and be like, I'm so sorry, could you remake this or something like that, and you don't even have to apologize. And that's just like my take. I am so open to feedback. Not everyone's going to be like that. Some people have different egos, you know what I mean? But for me, I think that just coming in and like not sounding condescending and not being disrespectful. If someone's gonna come at me like disrespectfully, even if I'm in the wrong, I'm gonna come back disrespectfully.
Oh well,
too.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think I just would never. That's just like who I am. Like if I got a coffee drink, like food, coffee, I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna sit here and not eat it or drink it.
No, if my food or
that's
drink is
all-
wrong, I throw it not in front of that person, but like I can have a full meltdown. Like I've eaten a burrito one time and it all fell out the bottom and I literally had like a full
yeah like
rage.
I can't eat it or drink it. Like I will, but I will just drive away and I will say, well, that was an $8 donation
No,
today.
my dad was a frugal man and unfortunately he passed that down on me, so I'm gonna get my money's worth.
And my dad now in his older age, again, all the same conversation we were talking about that exact thing. Like if a drink gets messed up, my dad's very specific. He's persnickety when it comes to his drinks. And we kind of poke him about it because he has like 9 modifications. So it's very regular for his drink to be wrong.
Yeah.
Which it's like, so for him, but it's funny because they will, like when you're giving the order, they'll like just dismiss out of hand, or like they won't punch something in where they normally would for a modifier. And then it's like, you go to the same place enough, you're like, you should have made note of that because the other 17 times I order it, there was something about like half calf or about whatever. But it's funny because it's like he will then go to the counter and say like, I actually asked for this and this. And he's like, I'm really sorry. And then he turns around and he's look at us. He's like, I don't know why I'm the one apologizing when they messed up my drink. But it's like you also feel that need to be like, I'm really sorry. Can you please help me correct your mistake? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think a big thing for me, and I did learn this at Dutch Bros, is especially like complicated orders, repeat it back to them because they can correct you from there. And sometimes like I'll even have people do that with me because usually when someone orders, you know if they've worked in coffee or not because they rarely ever just get something like very basic. There's always like modifications to it. So I ask people to repeat it back to me because I'm like, maybe I forgot a detail. So
yeah, I am like your dad. Like my husband all the time, he is like, why can't you just ever order something as it is? Like, why can't you just like have an order that is like normal? And I'm like, because I didn't work in coffee and I did not work in food. And I'm like, you knew I was like this and you still chose to marry me. So quite frankly, I think this is all your fault,
Honestly,
but like, whatever. I feel like this is you a problem. But even at home, like I tell you, like I've just started making my own coffee. I ordered like plastic because again, drinks for me are just about vibes. But like, even at home, if I'm making a coffee, I'm doing 1 shot of espresso and then I'm doing like a toasted marshmallow with cinnamon and English toffee with like cold foam. You know, like I'm also being complicated at home. It's just who I am as a person. Okay. But that makes me willing to pay $8 or $10 for a drink because it's literally just about vibes.
Exactly. That kind of brings us back full circle. Like if it's a drink that like, cause you know, we just changed our pricing and people never like when you do price changes cause everyone's going to think everything's expensive, but it goes off of cost of goods. I'm not charging people a certain price so I can like intentionally, you know, like cheat them out of a deal or anything like that. But that's why I don't ever mind remaking a drink. Cause I'm like, you did pay a good amount of money for this. So you should be able to get that in not just like quality, but also service.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been such a pleasure. I love your shop. Josh is going to immediately go
Yes,
to
he
Sip
loves it by
Happens.
association.
Yeah, he is now your biggest fan, bigger than me. But thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes, I was happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, very fun. And everybody go in Eugene, go to Sip Happens, new seasonal menu coming out in March. And I think it's going to be so good.
Yes.
Okay. All right, guys, we will talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.